We're cruising in on another episode of the Talkin Solutions Podcast. And in this episode, we're talking about sending some kindness and bringing some positivity into the world. I have the founder and CCO of Koya, Ms. Caryn Werner, with us today. And Caryn, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Will. I'm happy to be here.
Great. And Caryn, why don't you just do us a quick honor of telling us a little bit about what Koya is and why it's such a positive solution for society?
Yeah, sure. So Koya right now, what we're focused on is helping businesses show up in more meaningful ways for their employees and customers alike. So how that works is we basically have a platform that streamlines the process of helping them show up with recording a video message, adding a gift, choosing when they want to send it, and then pressing send. So we're trying our best to enable and empower managers and companies to do a better job at employee appreciation and making it easier for them to be able to show up and do that without having to go through too many hoops to actually communicate how much they care.
Which I think is so important, especially in today's age where we have this great resignation going on and things of that nature as well, where clearly there's a problem with companies retaining employees. I use my dad as an example, worked at UPS for 40 plus years. I can't imagine anybody in my generation working at a company for 40 plus years at this point, and all that, it just going forward. Well, I shouldn't say 40, 30 plus, but the point still stands, and I think I think employee appreciation goes a long way for that as well. So how do you think that that's going to help the employees feel more valid as well, and maybe even want to stick around longer than maybe they initially would?
Totally. Well, I think when you look at our generation, like millennials and Gen Z, we have different levels of core value. And it looks so different than older generations. I believe older generations were really incentivized by money. Not that we don't care about money, but we do. But I think other values are equally, if not more important to us, like impact and sustainability and equality and having a good work-life balance and mental health and being seen by your team and your managers, feeling like you're more than just one in a million employees. And I think previous generations could be incentivized to stay longer at a company if they were offered a bonus or a raise. And so money was an incentivizer. It didn't really matter if they were working overworked or they didn't feel valued as much in the company. I think they were just willing to kind of grit it out. And the younger generations, I think, would rather leave and find a different company that aligned more with their values, even if it meant a little bit less money, in order to have that work-life balance, in order to feel like they're making an impact and feel like they're being seen. So how we're showing up and helping, especially like you said, with the Great Resignation, there's so many remote teams and managers that are looking for new ways and tools to be able to actually show up when they don't have those normal day in and day out water cooler interactions. So we are streamlining that process. We're not automating it, but we're streamlining it. So that way there's a simple tool that helps them be able to show up and schedule things ahead of time. Say you have an employee that just slayed a project, stayed up working extra hours to finish, a bug that came in or whatever. Now a manager has the opportunity to actually have a tool to make it easier for them to be like, thank you so much. Like, you killed it for our team. I see you. I recognize you. Here is a gift card to DoorDash, get dinner on me, or whatever the case is, in order just to communicate not only with a gift and money, essentially, but with their words, because I think that is such a high value for the younger generations, is feeling recognized and feeling like they're making a difference in the workplace. So managers can actually have that space and the tool that helps them communicate that a little bit more effectively and hopefully efficiently.
Absolutely. So much to touch on there. Obviously, with our generations and whatnot as well, the impact of sustainability, and a lot of that is due to the rapid amount of information and stuff that we've been more aware of and learned within the last, several decades that has allowed us and our generation to really be ones that can consider all of these different things and all of these work-life balances and things of that nature as well. And then you make a great point about, just the moments of recognition and what that means to the employee and whatnot. And I want to touch on all of that. But first and foremost, just tell us where you're at right now with the company, the stage is at, and, how people can kind of get involved and things of that nature as well. So that, there's some tangible next steps and whatnot.
Totally. Yeah. So we have been working on Koya for a little over 3 years. We had a B2C product initially, and what we kept hearing from our B2C users was, I want to use this with my employees in business. And I want to use this as like a realtor. I want to use this as a personal touch point with my clients and my customers. So we created this version, and we currently are in early access mode. So if you're interested in being part of our early access, all that means is just be a little extra gracious with us as we're rolling out the new features and give us feedback as we're learning along the way. But you can go to getkoya, Koya.com, and request early access. We'll look over your profile and then send you the information to be able to hop on.
Yeah, there's lots of good benefits of being an early customer, early adapter, absolutely. One of the first ones. So absolutely get on board with that if you're interested.
In with some goodness. So get on board early.
There we go. Sticking to the theme, grandfathered in with the goodness on that front, the kindness, the kudos, all that greatness as well. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Something I did want to mention earlier, you were talking about, like the kindness and the kudos and how we were looking to really show up in that way. And it reminded me of a conversation I had just a few weeks ago. It was with an older gentleman. He was an older part of the older generation, and he was having a harder time wrapping his mind around what we did and why it was important and valuable. And so I asked him, hey, can you just think for a second of maybe just in the recent years, has there been a moment that a manager has said something to you that really stood out and made a difference? And about some kind of project or work you did. And he thought about it, and he was like, no, I don't think I've ever heard anything from a manager. And I was like, okay, well, can you think back to a time when maybe someone on your team recognized you? Maybe a coworker that told you great job on that or whatever. Is there anything you can think of? And he thought about it, and he was like, I can't think of anything. I was like, this poor man. Oh my gosh. And I was like, okay, can you think back to college? Did you do any group projects? Did a teacher ever recognize you? And he was like, yes, I had a teacher when I was at college who recognized me for incredible work I did in this one project. And I was like, tell me how that made you feel. And he was able to recount to me how it really made an impact, how that positive affirmation from that teacher made him want to work extra hard in that class and show up on time and put his best effort in. And I was like, that's what we're trying to do with Koya, because not only is it really important to hear that from managers and from, especially when you're remote, but even if you're not remote, we all need to hear positive affirmation in order to really feel that dopamine, in order to feel like we're valued. And so I was like, when you do hear that, not only does it feel good, but it makes you want to show up better because you feel like you're actually making a difference and you feel appreciated and you feel like what you're doing is noticed. And otherwise you just feel like you're one in a million. So does it matter really if you don't work as hard today, but if you do feel seen and valued and recognized for the ways you show up, then you want to show up the same way more and more.
Yeah, it's almost like a way to add more productivity and whatnot in the way that you work, right? I mean, it's that affirmation. You're creating a memorable moment, right? And you're recognizing that. And I think that that's really, really important going forward. So you just touched on it a little bit, Caryn, in terms of, how much kind of more motivated and that feeling will make them, want to do so and whatnot. But curious to hear what kind of feedback you've been getting from maybe some of those employers to start and whatnot, and the ones that are actually using it, because we know that all the employees are loving it as well. But how about the employers or the managers or the bosses that get an opportunity to show this affirmation and to recognize the people working under them?
Totally. Yeah, I just was reading feedback last week from an early access user who's using it with her team. And she said that it was like such a streamlined process. And for her, what she did is she had like I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was a lighter work day. And so she decided to take that time to really go ahead and schedule it out. And she was like, I'm very type A. I like sitting down and doing a bunch of stuff at once. So she sat down at her desk and just like recorded several videos, you know, one after another to her employees. She wanted to like individually recognize each one of them, which might feel like a lot, especially if you have a bigger team. But for people that have bigger teams, you could just do once a week, you know, or like a few a month. You don't have to do it all at once. But she sat down, just want to get it all done with, and then schedule them out ahead of time. And her feedback to us was, oh my gosh, it was so simple. It was so streamlined. And she felt, for her, it felt like a mental load was lifted, because she had been looking for ways, trying to figure out how can I show up for my employees. And she hadn't found a solution at that point that worked for her. So she was like, wow, previously she was like going around trying to find gifts, trying to do like send cards in the mail, that kind of thing. But it not only did it save her time, but she was able to like do it in her own home, do it in her space, and then schedule it out and be done, you know? And so she said it really streamlined the process for her without compromising the personal piece. And I think that's something that we are really passionate about with Koya is, you know, being very much so connection centric, making sure that we keep those hyper personal touch points, because that really is what is making the difference. People say cash is king, but like we're trying to focus on those kudos, because you know, as we talked about just a second ago, those really do make a long-standing impact in our life, and how we show up in the world.
And you made a couple of comments there too that I think is what makes your product kind of stand out as well, to make it something that is going to be much more accessible and much more popular in that front. You make it easy. It's simple. It's streamlined. You know, I think a lot. I would venture to guess, and I'm more optimistic. Hence, the positivity of the podcast. But I do think a lot of managers probably would like, and even in the past would have liked, to have recognized their employees. But like you said, what do I do? Okay, well, I got to go to the store, but then I got to get something for this person, and then this person, and then this person. And it becomes too much of a chore. You got families, or even if you don't have a family, like you're tired after the long day, and your solution just comes right in, says, hey, it's as simple as enough. You can record something as easy as a video, purchase the car, whatever it's going to be. And then boom, there it is. Simple, done.
Yeah, simple. That's what we were really hoping, is that it's hyper personal, but still simple. And that way people don't have the excuses. They actually have a real easy way to be able to show up. And I think deep down, everybody wants to care and they want to show up. It's just time gets in the way, it being difficult gets in the way, or a lack of knowledge, like how to go about it. And the final thing I would say is like, genuinely there isn't, there's a level of incompetency, like inwardly, like, I don't know how to, I don't know how to go about buying this or, sending to them. It's like, I genuinely don't know what to say. Like I'm saying, a manager of an engineer team, they might be like, I don't know what to say. How do I communicate that I care to my employees? Maybe it feels foreign. Maybe it's someone that isn't as emotionally or relationally intelligent. And that's something that we will have coming in the future, is tools like that to be able to help managers know what to say as well, and help increase their relational intelligence. So that way, not only will it be this easy process that's really simple, but they won't have even the part of feeling incompetent to get in the way of being able to communicate that they care.
I love that. That's really fantastic, and a great iteration kind of process within your own kind of product and thinking, because that's a great point. Some people just feel outright uncomfortable, complimenting other people or recognizing that, because, then it gets all emotional, and some people don't like that. Like you said, emotional intelligence, things of that nature as well. And being able to kind of fix that. So are you able to disclose a little bit kind of like what those tools kind of look like, and how that they will be able to help people that struggle with being able to give, things of affirmation and be more open and all that type of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I think the part I can disclose is we've been in conversations with about 50 therapists, psychologists, and relational specialists, especially focused on the workplace and helping, figuring out tools that would be helpful for customers to feel like, when they don't know what to say, they have a space to go on our website that would give them ideas and give them tips of where they can start. So it's not a script because we want it to still feel authentic. We want it not only feel, but we want it to be authentic, but little tips from, specialists, therapists, relational psychologists that know how to help people show up in better ways and give them like little tips and tools to feel more confident when they do record a message or even typing message. If you don't want to send a video message, you could also type out a message as well. So if you're feeling one particular day like it feels too vulnerable, you can take those baby steps to start communicating your appreciation to people. But for me, it's a lot easier for me to send a video message. It's faster, and I feel like I'm able to communicate my genuine appreciation when I'm utilizing, my voice inflex and my eye contact versus just typing something out. But everybody feels different, and so we want there to be different options for people as they take these stepping stones to being able to show up better for their employees.
Exactly. It's about adapting to the individual, right? I mean, it's certainly the video clearly people love videos. I mean, look at TikTok, Instagram, Reels. So they're blown up, right?
Totally.
So the reels are certainly big, but you definitely want to adapt to, or not the reels. The videos are certainly big, but you definitely want to adapt to the people that, feel more comfortable on a text perspective on that front as well. And, that all goes back to the information. You mentioned the psychiatrist, the psychologist, the things of that nature as well. And the streamline of information that we have now as people to be able to adapt and make sure that everywhere and everybody feels included and feels good and all those types of important things on that front too. So, I'm curious as well, Caryn, on that front, and I'd be curious to see what the statistics are 5-10 years down the line while y'all are doing this, at what the employee retention rate looks like now. Because I think one issue that companies have, and why doing something as little as this and as small as this could actually save them a lot of money.
Oh my gosh.
Too, because think about how much more money it costs to go out, discover, hire new people all the time, rather than just be able to, reward your own employees with raises and, affirmation and make them want to stay. So I imagine that is going to be something that they're really going to look to appeal to. And I would be curious to see what those numbers are in the future, because I think that you'll be saving companies a lot of money with this as well, to making, allowing them to make their employees feel comfortable and happy.
Yeah, I was talking to someone that's in HR recently, and they said it costs about $250,000 to $300,000 to replace an engineer. With recruiting and training, I was blown away, Will. I was like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I agree with you. I think if companies do have a proactive approach to showing up for their employees, making them feel valued, then I don't think they'll lose them as frequently. And I think genuinely that money that they would spend in recruiting and training and finding new people to replace the ones they're losing, because they're not satisfied, they don't feel seen by their managers. And that's one of many reasons why people leave companies, not the only one, but it is one of the highest ones, highest reasons. So yeah, if we can, instead of using the money, as a reactive tool to replace, we use it proactively. I do agree with you. I think it will save companies a lot of money, and it will increase a company's reputation in the workforce. People are going to want to work there. They're going to have a higher rating. Employees are going to be saying better things about a company, being like, wow, this company has incredible company culture. They have incredible culture. I feel seen. I feel valued here. This is a great workplace, So it would be beneficial to companies on multiple levels if they started showing up in this regard.
Yeah, absolutely. To be able to do that and to save them money. I mean, and think about all the ways that they could reallocate those resources, whether that's reinvesting into the company to create a better product for customers or service, or reinvesting into the employees more with bonuses or work trips or employee resource groups or whatever it might be. I feel like the possibilities are kind of endless for companies on that front too. And it's a matter of just being efficient within your own organization on that front as well. But
absolutely,
Caryn, Yeah, curious to see what inspired you to create and become a founder of this company and to kind of move forward with Koya and what started that journey, what sounds probably a little bit over 3 years ago.
Sure. So I feel really lucky. I grew up in an entrepreneurial friendly household. My dad's a serial entrepreneur. So creativity, starting my own business, all those things were really encouraged by my parents growing up. I have two younger sisters, and my dad's last company was acquired by Adidas, and he was itching to start something new. And basically for his birthday, sat down with us, and his wish that year was to start a business as a family. He's like, I've, told myself if I ever do another startup, I really wanted to do it as a family. We all come from different backgrounds. We have different skill sets. Like, what if we joined forces to create another company together? So we end up ideating right there at the table and thought through, the basics of Koya right then and there, and started working on it quickly after. So we've been on this journey as a family. My youngest sister is in college, but it's me and my other sister and then my parents. And so, my dad is incredible. And then we also have like a core team member who is an engineer and just total badass. So my dad is a technology background, does product development. My sister's, does marketing, incredible marketer and brand strategist. And my mom does community engagement. She's amazing at building communities. And so, we work together, including our core team member, all five of us, creating Koya and ideating on Koya. So for me personally, my background is in humanitarian photography and storytelling. So I bring, creativity, design, all of that kind of stuff to the table for Koya. And I think personally for me, what gives me the passion for Koya is traveling so much and seeing the importance of relational wealth and other communities and culture. There's just such a higher value in other cultures for relational wealth over financial wealth. And I think we all have different values and things that drive us, motivators. But I found that people in different countries that are in some of the poorest places in the world are the happiest because they are relationally wealthy. They are so happy because they're surrounded by family and friends. And then you look at America and we're climbing the corporate ladder at whatever the cost. And oftentimes that cost is relationships. It's losing, friendships. It's losing family. It's not being able to date, or it's getting married and divorced, or whatever it is. We sacrifice a lot to be on top. And I think, when I think about what our core values are at Koya, it's connection. And ultimately, we want to make an impact so big that we hope to really change the loneliness epidemic. And we want to see people feel more valued and to feel more connected. And from all the research we've been doing and have read from other people that are specialists doing research, the only way to really make a dent in the loneliness epidemic, which affects depression, anxiety, suicide, so many things, is directly through connection and having more meaningful connections and not being surface level, but feeling important, feeling valued, feeling like your life and your work is recognized and meaningful to this world. That's what makes us thrive and makes our life more enjoyable and exciting and more purposeful.
Feeling lonely is dangerous. There's no doubt about it. It really is. I think any psychiatrist, any doctor will tell you that, a lot of those negative conditions that come from it are loneliness. And I'd be curious to know, have you seen that Harvard study where they studied the hundreds of men back in the 30s, and they tracked them all the way up until, you should check it out. It's really good. There's this Harvard, I believe it's Harvard. Don't 100% quote me on that, but there's a TED Talk on it, and I'm pretty confident it's Harvard. And there's this study that tracks men beginning at the age of, I think, 16, 17. And, just basically what's a fulfilling life? What is a healthy life? Like, what is meaningful? And the number one common denominator that they found were healthy relationships. The people that had the healthiest and the best relationships were the most successful, lived the longest, were the most healthy. So I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about relational wealth, and something that we need to improve on here in America and in other countries as well. And that's exactly what Koya helps with, which is fantastic because it combines the two a little bit, right? Like, like you said, we like money. Everybody likes money, right? But if you can like money and be told you're doing a good job, I think that's going to make you feel even better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And so the family business, that's really cool that y'all are starting the family business on that front and kind of moving forward together. And then you always kind of hear those things about friction and whatnot. Sounds like everything's going pretty smooth for y'all though, no?
No, it's going great. I mean, we've definitely had our own bumps and challenges like anyone, but I think what is beneficial and advantageous to us is we are related. So, whereas if I joined forces with a co-founder that I just met or only knew for a few years, I feel like it'd be much easier to, exit stage left whenever it got really hard. But when it's my family, I want to see my mom thrive. I want to see my dad thrive. I want to see my sister thrive. I want, what's best for the company, but I also want what's best for them. And they feel the same way about me. So I think it really is a beautiful adventure to be on together.
Yes, absolutely it is. And something that y'all remember forever, which will be really, really cool going forward. And you had touched on this a little bit about, wanting to really help people and to do that going forward. And what is the long-term vision of Koya? What is it? You talk about the iteration, you talked about just meeting at the table and saying, hey, let's try something out. Let's do it. What are the conversations like now? Obviously you're trying to work into, the B2B and whatnot and able to help companies. But, what is the long-term vision year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, connections for everyone. We want to empower and enable everyone to have meaningful ways to connect and tools to help them connect in better ways. So ultimately, we want Koya to be easily accessible, not only for businesses and managers to connect with their employees or individuals to connect with their clients, but also for loved ones and friends to be able to connect with each other as well. So we started off with a B2C play and then decided to pivot to a B2B with the full intention that we'll incorporate the B2C as well. Because we're body, soul, and spirit beings. We're connected. We work, life, live, love. Everything is so intertwined and connected. And so we want to stay that way. It's just we're trying to stay hyper-focused at one thing at a time. But ultimately, like I said earlier, our long-term vision is to be a catalyst that ends the loneliness epidemic. So by having these different facets, B2B, B2C, B2C to B, like all these different ways for people to be able to show up and connect in more meaningful ways, I think hopefully that's the goal, we'll be able to really make an impact. So yeah, I think our pipeline is quite extensive. I could go into that, but I think I'd rather just keep it higher level just because I will get lost in the weeds.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But on that note, there's not really getting into the weeds, but I am curious, like, what is the best method that y'all are reaching people with on, and how are you kind of getting these in front of people to see and making people more aware of it and things of that nature as well? Because, I really do think that, it's a really popular solution. I don't really understand, why anyone would tell you like, you know what, Caryn, this is an awful idea. You got to tell the Werner family that y'all don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, it's really only positivity and things of that nature as well. So I'd be curious to see what's your best method of I guess, marketing or ways that you're getting this. Yeah, brand awareness. How are you getting in front of people?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned earlier, we're just now in early access. So we've been in private beta the last 6 weeks, just learning, growing, changing, iterating, making tweaks based off of what we've been hearing from our beta users. And so now that we're in early access, we're still having these conversations, but we're starting to add features as well. So we're not going to put any marketing efforts behind it or PR or anything like that until we are fully live. But our goal currently at this moment is just to get as much live feedback as possible, because we're trying to shape the best product possible to be able to help on so many different fronts, people be able to show up better. So by having this live feedback, we are able to really make sure we shape the product into what our customers are wanting, and make sure that different features that we have coming out also resonate with what they're hoping for and wanting as well. It's not just an assumption we have. So we have done market research, we have done a lot of user interviews, but it's one thing to do those things when you have a product that you can just kind of explain. It's another thing when you just throw it out there, like use it for yourself and then come back and tell me, was this intuitive? Was there something that you're wanting that wasn't there? That kind of feedback is really helpful when it's more like live.
Right. Once it's actually tangible.
Yes, tangible. Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. When it's tangible, it's not like you're having to imagine it. Well,
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, awesome. That's really where we're at right now. But hopefully we have several LOIs in place, and we have several big media. We have a lot of small, medium businesses that are interested. We also have a few big sharks that are interested as well. So, we'll see where things go. I mean, we're excited for the journey. I think to your point, all we've heard so far has been positive feedback, and no one's been like, I don't want this, I don't need this. It's been, how do I get my hands on this? Like, this is something we've been needing for a while, but we haven't figured out an easy way to do it. So I'm excited to see if people are going to be able to, get their HR teams on board, whatever the hoops they're going to have to go through in order to make it happen. I'm excited to see what that process is and how hopefully fast, maybe sometimes slow, it will be in order to onboard people.
Yeah, of course. Do you have a target time frame that you would like this to come out, or is it still a lot of iteration and so it's kind of TBD at this point?
Yeah, I think it's pretty TBD. Right now, we're really focused on getting all that user feedback, live user feedback. So as soon as we, feel like we have like a good amount of feedback, I think we'll just like make it live. But people in the meantime can use it right now. It's live and active for people to use once they get early access. So. And it's not a long process to get early access. You just like sign up for it. We review your profile. And then if you don't look like a psychopath, then we'll approve you. So far, most people have been approved.
Most.
But yeah, I haven't seen yours yet. Well, we'll see.
Mine might be a little longer. No, I'm just kidding.
Might be a little touch and go there. But yeah, so hopefully, we're trying to get it up and active in as many people's hands and in front of as many people's eyes as possible right now, but we'd love to really push it pretty quickly. So I think it just depends on how willing people are to give feedback right now. So I know people are busy, so it does take extra time and effort to give feedback on a product. But so far, the people that have been giving us feedback have been really generous and kind with their feedback and their time to show us and tell us, things that they loved, things that they wish were a little different. So I feel really grateful so far.
Awesome. And you mentioned it earlier, but just to reiterate, like they can just go straight to the website to sign up for early access. And then how can they submit feedback for you and make it easy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once they get early access, we'll send them an email with the link and they can respond to that email with their feedback. So it's pretty
that simple.
Yeah, it's that simple. They can also, if they have feedback, or they need help, there's a button on the website to, basically it's just like it's like request help or like I have feedback I want to give, and it just automates it, sends it to us, and then we'll schedule a time, to do a Calendly, Calendly link will go out and we'll schedule a Zoom call as well. So if someone doesn't want to type out their feedback, they can also just hop on a call with us, and communicate that way. Or thankfully.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. And do you see this just being on a web-only platform, mobile apps, or how do you kind of see this kind of working in the future?
Yeah, great question. So it is a desktop version, but it's also mobile web. So previously we had a mobile application, and the probably number one feedback we kept hearing from customers was, love this. I just wish it didn't have to be something that I had to download. And in order for people to send Koyas or receive a Koya, they had to have the app downloaded. So now that is totally eliminated. So there's less friction. So people can send and receive, these Koya messages without having anything downloaded. So we're going to continue down that trajectory only because we want to have as little friction as possible for customers and clients to be able to show up and, communicate that they care. So one thing that I am excited about, I can share this with our pipeline, is one of the features we'll be adding pretty quickly is location as well. So you'll be able to send messages to be unlocked at certain locations in the future too, which is kind of fun if you're wanting to have some fun and play around with things. But yeah, it's going to be endless opportunities and ways for people to be able to show up, which makes me really happy because it should be fun to connect. It should be fun to show up. And we're trying to not only make it easy and streamline the process, but also make it fun for people to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. You need it to be fun. You need to be happy, create a positive experience, all those types of really great things behind it. And of course, it makes sense to have it on the web as well. Especially if you're targeting companies, a lot of people are going to be working laptops, desktop computers, things of that nature as well on that front. Curious, what's been the most creative kind of, creative like gift or positive affirmation or anything of that nature that you've heard of? Has there been anything kind of fun and unique that has kind of stood out?
So far, I think, I don't know, it's not like wildly unique, but I thought it was really sweet. Like a manager of an engineering team sent Koya to his whole team after they had to fix this bug. And it was like after work hours, and he sent them each individual messages along with this DoorDash gift card and was like, hey, you guys are working so late. Like, I see you. Thank you. Here's DoorDash. Like, sent them each $50 to get drinks and food delivered to their door. And I wouldn't say it's like wildly unique, but to me it was touching because I think, I think engineers probably feel the most like robots in a lot of different workplaces, and probably hear the least bit of affirmation. And so at least from engineers I've talked to when I was doing a lot of user interviews, they all were like, yeah, I feel like a robot all the time. I feel like I am totally a machine at my company. I never hear positive feedback. No one ever says thank you. They always just expect me to fix stuff for them. So to me, that story was really touching because I think in my head, I created a narrative like, oh, I wonder if this is the first time they really heard this and felt like this deeply appreciated. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But to me, it was touching. So.
That's great. I have been an engineer fixing bugs in late hours, and I did not receive a DoorDash certificate for food and drink. And that would have made the night a little bit better, a little bit more worth it. So, yeah, absolutely.
Like, my ass off. And then you noticed. Wow. Okay. Great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Just the creating the moments and empowering the employees and the retention and all that type of stuff as well. So I guess, Caryn, the next step would be obviously people can sign up and get early access and things of that nature as well. But in what other ways and how can people support? How can people follow along your journey? And how can they really help make this thing go and really turn on the engines a bit?
Oh, thanks for asking, Will. I would just say if you guys could sign up for early access and give us feedback, that would be gold. If you know of anyone that would be a good use case for our product, like pass on the information to them, that would be so helpful. Obviously, word of mouth is number one way to help in marketing and referrals. So we really want to make a huge impact. So I think getting the word out, having that brand awareness and distribution will help us do that faster. So anyone that wants us to make a big splash and hopefully make the world a little bit more meaningfully connected space, a little bit less lonely, and help people feel a little bit more seen, will pass on the message for us.
Yes, the word of mouth, still the strongest and best form of marketing there is.
It is. It really is. You cannot pay for that.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Oh, I guess another question to ask as well with the product. Is it available for internationally for everywhere? Is it only available in the US or how does that kind of work on that front?
Great question. Right now, while we're in early access, it's US only, but we will be making it global as soon as possible.
Awesome. Gotta love it. Got a global marketplace to serve for all those people that are not respecting their employees and making them feel special.
I know. I keep thinking about like remote dev teams and anyone that, is international. Like, I think it's going to really hopefully make them feel more connected to their teams. So I'm excited to see the impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Especially as we continue to kind of cross international boundaries and whatnot with work and whatnot, working with people from all over the place.
Continuing, I think. So we have to figure out these tools and figure out ways to make it more sustainable in order to,
Werner family jumping in at the right time with Koya.
Let's hope so.
There we go. Hey, Caryn, is there anything else that you'd like to add here that maybe we missed or anything like that you would like people to know about Koya, the product, or, about affirmation or about positivity in the workforce and, really helping to solve that loneliness epidemic that you talk about?
Thanks for asking. Nothing really comes to mind. The only thing I can think of is, it doesn't take like something extravagant to make a huge difference. And so I think just remembering that, maybe someone doesn't want to use our product, that's fine. But I think if they remember anything from this podcast, I would say, just remember how impactful your words can be and how one simple sentence can truly like make someone's day, or maybe even like, make a big impact on their life. So whether it's a stranger you see out at the grocery store or someone you're working with or a friend that you just, you think about them and you're like, oh, I want to reach out, whatever it is, I think choosing to use our words for good and to make an impact, really, it's something we have control over, and we never know how important and impactful it can be to someone.
Love it. Life's comprised of a bunch of moments, and the things that you can do to make each moment a little bit more special and stand out more is only going to help people and bring more positivity to it. And that's what my favorite part is about Koya and about what y'all are trying to accomplish over there. So look forward to following your journey and seeing how successful the Werner family becomes. And, maybe the old man's going to have another successful startup again, and hoping to that. And Caryn, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me. It was such a joy to be here.
That's Caryn Werner. She's the founder and CCO of Koya, joining us on the Talkin Solutions podcast. You can check out her company over at getkoya.com. That's GETKOYA.com. And you can gain early access. Real simple, good user experience. Just hit that gain early access button there on the nav bar or right there at the hero image as well when you first arrive onto the website. And you can provide some feedback after you get the email link and things of that nature. You can give them a follow on social media, on Instagram as well, at Give Koya, and then, of course, on Twitter, too, on that front to support going forward. And, of course, we'll have all those links for you on our account and be promoting them all week for the podcast. And you can check out the website at cheshtech.com/Talkin Solutions Podcast to find out a little bit more information in case you missed something on the podcast here today. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking with you on the next edition of the Talkin Solutions Podcast. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks for listening to the Talkin Solutions Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday for a new episode and check out all of our guests on our website at cheshtech.com. That's CHESHTECH.com to learn more as we continue our mission of supporting impact-driven founders.